Hello, friends. So, as promised, we'll get into the second picture, our nice goat picture. And so, on my list, some of the questions that we have that you can kind of go over with the person is, it starts off with the same thing of, is what you did in the picture reflective of what you do or feel when you meet other people or possibly a particular person in your life right now? Another good one that we're looking at. Did you, in your imagination, see the goat as friendly or threatening? I find that one really interesting because when you assess people, not assess, but when you yourself meet new people, do you kind of believe that everyone's good until you have a reason otherwise, like strangers or just friends you haven't met yet? Or do you come kind of guarded that you may read neutral situations as threatening if you're just walking around as a defensive person? Because you might see that in the goat. Some people automatically want to help the goat. Some people automatically are trying to protect themselves from the goat. I know when I first did it, I wasn't sure. So, I wanted to be cautious and realistic about what it was. If it was nice, I could give it some food and then maybe follow it. This is the goat's natural habitat. Um, I figured it would know the best way up the mountain. Maybe the path wasn't the best way. But if it was threatening, then I would throw the food far away from the path that would go follow that way. So I kind of, one of the first things that I do when I meet a person is figure out, are they my friend or are they not my friend? Is this one that I should be wary of and mistrustful of, or is this someone that I can really count on and kind of be open to? So that's just an interesting question to ask your client or yourself when you get to the goat. Is, are they friendly or are they threatening? Because we don't know. I never told you that in the prompt. That's for you to fill in. Again, maybe you think their eyes are creepy and you just think they're threatening because of that. As I said, I met someone else who has a religious thing about goats, so automatically they're very good, which is why we had to substitute it for a different animal, which in this case it was the cow. Anyway, was what the sequence of events that led you to do what you did? What was the sequence of events that led you to do what was in the picture? So I think that's how I was saying. First I assess the goat, then I give it food, and then I follow it. And went in that order. I didn't just start following it. I made it a connection first. Was there more than one option available to you? Was what you put down on paper the first option that you thought of doing? What changed your mind? Like, are you afraid of what others would think if I shot the goat? Okay, that's actually really funny because I just did the assessment and the person's mental first reaction was to shoot the goat, and he said, well, what I would do is, and I said, no, there's no wrong answers. There's literally no wrong answers here because I want to know what your thought process is. So I had to ask him about 3 times because he was like, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm like, no, just tell me what it was. He's like, I'm going to shoot the goat. And I said, well, that's fine. It's your story. That's how your story ends. So yeah, especially that one. Afraid of what others might think, but just looking at, why did we? All these questions you can look at. Why that was that your only option? Were you afraid of it? It's still useful information, and I don't actually think that you go around in real life shooting people that you have a problem with. Are you using anything in the picture from your backpack or from within? Like, did you use your own voice? Did you use food? Did you bring a gun out? What is the metaphor for these images in your life? What feelings came over you as you faced the goat on the path? Did you see yourself getting back on the path after the encounter and proceeding along, or were you stuck there? I knew someone, a good friend of mine, and when I got to this one, the one who has the A, B, and C, and D way of getting across the river, I would do a shout out. I know that you're not watching. And so she, sort of like how she used her external resources, that she was looking for a bridge at this like an established park. Her first response to the goat was to look for like a park ranger as someone who's an expert on goats that she can bring in to kind of resolve the problem for her. She was definitely someone who looked for a third party a lot because we did have some interpersonal issues going on in our friend group. She definitely looks for a third party intervention. And her other option, if there wasn't a park ranger, She went into her backpack and she pulled out a hang glider and she jumped off the cliff. She had no intention of continuing on this path. It was very much avoidant of dealing with the goat. She would rather, she says, take the scenic route, the hound, and give up on the path than deal with this goat, which is very interesting. I'll tell you which is in the third one because that one actually became a catchphrase for us. But that's interesting. Give an example in your life of how what you did in this picture reflects your relationship with another person or persons. They may intuitively relate to the metaphor and feel, yes, that's me, and are invited to recall a concrete association to an interpersonal relationship. Is what you did metaphorically in the picture reflective of a general pattern you experience in your interpersonal relationships? Do you want to change what you did in the picture? How do you want to do it differently? How do you want to be different in your relationship? How do you want to interact with others differently? I did this, another example. The person didn't shoot the goat, but they decided to field kick the goat, possibly off the cliff. And it's interesting because we asked her what this goat looked like, and she said one of really small pygmy goats, so like a not threatening, baby-looking goat, and she just punted it. She is definitely someone who doesn't like, so she wasn't viewing it as threatening. It was a nice kind of goat, but she doesn't like getting close to people, and she likes to keep people very much at a distance. So it's very interesting that she viewed this goat as non-threatening, and she would still choose to field punt it as far away from her as she could. Yeah. What is the image saying? What is in the image? What is the image not saying? What is not in the picture? Can this person manage in their external world when it comes to relationships? Can they move forward independently and interdependently? Are they controlling of others, or are they controlled by others? I think I probably mentioned earlier, a lot of therapists like to put a rope where they feed the goat. It's very nurturing, kind of feed the goat. I'm sure a lot of people will try to solve interpersonal relationships with giving things, especially, people who show love by giving food and whatnot. But yeah, he'll feed the goat, and then they try to bring the goat with them. Like they wrap a rope around the goat to take care of it, which is interesting, as I said, because this is the goat's natural habitat. Can this person manage? Is there a dependency on others, or is there cooperation, like when I followed the goat up? Do they need to be more assertive or less aggressive? Do they use others? Are they opportunistic? Are they threatened by others, or are they threatening? Are they a caretaker without concern for self? Are they a caregiver with a concern for self? Sorry, are they a caregiver without concern for self, or a caregiver with concern for self? I'm not sure what a caretaker. Actually, it's kind of funny. Does this person put himself, herself, themselves at risk? What does the person need or what in the relationship? So a need to express anger, even though they're usually a gentle person. Do they need to have a voice in the relationship? Do they need to control their anger? Do they need to be more assertive? They need to stand up for self and personal rights, a need to comfort. Fun fact, the person that I mentioned who jumped off the cliff with the hang glider, about a year or so later, actually very much went headfirst into a confrontation that she had enough of it. It was the very first time in her life, and she put her foot down. It was awesome to see. How does the artist see themselves in a relationship with the other? Does the reaction shown in the picture reflect how the person usually is with people, like a general pattern? Or is it reflective of what happens when they're stressed? That's interesting, because we are not the same person we usually are when we're stressed or scared, or there's that line in the beginning of Frozen. People on someone that are mad or scared or stressed. think sad also, if you're sad. And is this person touch reality again? So important to consider. Stay tuned for the next part, and we'll get to what the second two images mean. All right, take care.